And I didn't expect Ben to wear it. And then there's a t-shirt of Ben's face, which has him wearing the same t-shirt in the t-shirt, so it's like t-shirt inception. I can do it like this if this is okay. Weird. Yeah, so today's talk, I don't like doing technical talks. There are smarter people than me, but I like to try and make my talks a little interesting. So this is the third time I've done a talk in Romania, and I always try and do, this is where I try out my talks. So this might work, and it might not work. And we still have 2 minutes before I start, so we can keep talking. Yes. Oh, okay. Sure, we'll do it this way. Oh, I can do it a different way. If I just do it from duplicate, then I can see on both screens. Let's do that. Hopefully. Sorry. There we go, I'll do it this way. Perfect. So this is 23.5-hour development. What the hell does that mean? Good question. We'll find out. My name is David Madness. I work for Magento, who are an Adobe company, which you have to say. So this talk is non-technical, and I move around a lot. You can find me on Twitter, and that's probably the best way of communicating for me. Here are a few disclaimers. This is not a technical talk. I'm not a doctor. I don't have all the facts. I have some experience, and I could get rid of the confidential notice. If we all understand that, we can continue. So my big question for you for this whole presentation is, what does your day look like? What does your normal day look like? Keep this in your head, keep thinking about it. Days can be hard, days can be tough. These people look like they're having a fun day. That's why I put the picture in. So, let me show you what my day looks like. Starting the day at 1 a.m. So at 1 a.m., hopefully I'm like this, without the microphone, sleeping. Then at 2 a.m., I'm hopefully still sleeping. 3 a.m., hopefully still sleeping. 4 a.m., hopefully still sleeping. 5 a.m., I have a 3-year-old who likes to get up at 5 a.m., so 5 a.m. I'm normally up. Hopefully I'm still sleeping. Let's presume I'm still sleeping for this. 6 a.m., 7 a.m., my alarm goes off. So by about 7:15, I actually do something and move. So at 7 o'clock, my alarm goes off. I stumble across. I go into the kitchen. I'm British, so I put the kettle on. I make myself a cup of tea, and I do this. And I have breakfast. It's normally cereal or toast. That's what I go for in the morning. I have my breakfast. I enjoy a nice cup of tea. I haven't tried the tea yet, so I don't know if it's any good. After my tea, I go over into the bathroom and, I sit down again. Different style of seat, but a throne. Let's say it's a throne. And I do my business in the morning. I then go over this way, behind here, and go for a shower. You can't see that. I go for my shower. I then go into my bedroom and I get dressed. Now, this is before I joined Adobe, Magento, Adobe, whatever. I would go out of the office, out of my house. I would take 30 steps, 12, 20, 16, 30. I would then go to the bus stop and I'd wait for my bus. My bus would arrive. I get into my bus. I would travel on my bus. The bus would arrive at the train station. I'd walk up the stairs. I'd wait for my train. I'd get on my train. It's a 45-minute train ride. I'm not going to wait 45 minutes, don't worry. I walk, I counted this, 325 steps from the station to my old office. I get into my office, I'd say hi to my colleagues, I'd go grab a coffee, and then I'd get to my desk. And I would code, I'd probably say a few expletives, code some more, do a little more code, then get up and have lunch. So what do? I get up, I walk to the back of the office, and I have lunch. Interesting. I'd probably complain at Andrew for something. I then get up, I go back to my desk, and I code some more, and code some more, and code some more. I then get up, go back to my train, go on the train, get off the train, go to my bus, get on the bus, go home, have dinner. We got active outside. Put my kids to bed. That's probably the most active thing I do all day. Yeah. Then after that, what would I do? Well, I have a couple of options. I would either sit down, get out my computer, and do some contribution, maybe something to composer or something, or I would go and sit on my couch and watch some TV and relax. And then I would go to bed. Fun lifestyle, right? So, we're in bed, it's the end of the day. So that is my life when I was working in a company. I now work remotely, so just cut out the train ride, it looks the same. So, what did my day look like? Can anyone tell me what I did the most? It was hopefully obvious. Sitting down, exactly. So, out of 24 hours, there is a large portion of your day where you will be sitting down or lying down. And so this is kind of what my presentation I want to highlight, is how much of the ticking time that is your day, how much of that you actually spend sitting down and lying down, and doing the like. So there is a study. There is a study that says, and I hope I have the stats. Oh yeah, what is the single best thing you can do for your health? 30 minutes of exercise. Now it doesn't have to be super expressive exercise, it doesn't have to be running. We don't need to be grabbing pizza. We don't need to be doing marathons. 30 minutes will help you out. So, it is exercise. And we need to exercise a little more, but not too much, don't worry. So, exercise is the best medicine for your body. I'm not a doctor, just like to clarify that one more time. I'm not a doctor. So if you are doing less than 150 minutes a week of some form of exercise, is normally a bad thing for your body. Your body can shut down. It can increase the chance of things like arthritis, diabetes, and general bad health. So we want to make sure everyone's looking good and being active. But on the other side, over 30 minutes, you kind of lose your return of investment. So going from doing no exercise to 30 minutes of exercise is very, very good for you. It's a big change from nothing to 30. But going from say 30 to 45 or 30 to 60 minutes, you kind of, the return of investment is tailing off. And what my recommendation is doing 3 times 10 minutes a day. So what could that be? That could be anything. That could be getting out and walking. That could be not taking the bus and maybe walking a little bit. Seeing the countryside or whatever. So how do you fit into your day? We have a busy day. Who here is busy during the day? Now everyone, should go out. That's a trick question. I'm sorry, I mean. So how do we fit it into the day? What is the best option of doing that? Well, we've got plenty of options. We can make sure that we just leave the house. My first thing I was doing in my last job was I was getting off the bus one stop earlier and just walking a stop, and there's your 10 minutes right there. Doing 3 things. Not taking your lunch to work and going out and picking up lunch. Maybe it's a little more expensive, but you can go out. I know a lot of people that will order lunch and then sit at their desk and eat lunch at their desk. Being someone that works remotely, it's a little easier for me to do because my desk is very close to my kitchen. It's the same room. So what I try and do is I make sure that I go out. Having kids is good for your health as well. It's also bad for other things like your wallet. But it's also very good because does anyone here have boys? Boys particularly. I have 2 kids, boys. One is 3 and one is 7. And you have to exercise them, you have to take them out. Speaking of things you have to exercise, a dog is also particularly good. A lot of people compare dogs and boys. Dogs and young boys always have to be exercised. They differ on if they poop outside. I'll let you decide which one should poop outside. Exercise. And also, if you are worried about it, if you're not sure what to do, here's what you do. You go up to your colleague and you say, hey, would you like a coffee? Should we go out and get a coffee? Or would you like to walk? Romania is pretty beautiful, so I wouldn't mind walking around Romania a little bit. Where I used to work, and it was on the river, so I would often just go out and walk down the river a little bit and see a bit of the countryside. So getting out and being a little bit active. Now it's, like I said before, you don't need to run a marathon or Ironman or go to space. But 30 minutes of exercise is important for you. So, here's a bit of stats. There is a doctor that did some research in Australia, or a group of doctors, and they said that 6 hours of TV a day can cut your expected life by 5 years. So, in Europe we should be alright, but I feel bad for the Americans because they watch a lot of TV. You watch TV, come on. So, what I find is hilarious, even looking at my own life, is I sit at a desk and then I go home, and to relax I sit down. And it's like, it's a very interesting thing to do. So trying to find a way of relaxing, trying to find a way of not being at your desk and chilling out in the evening that doesn't involve sitting is a challenge. And it doesn't have to be every day as well. So try and cut down on your TV time or your sitting time, let's call it. And walking is man's best medicine. Like I said before, get a dog, enjoy a bit of a walk. Here's a challenge for you. You're at a conference, you'll be sitting down most of the day. Go outside at lunch, get some food, eat some food, and then go see a little bit of things surrounding the area. Take someone you've never met before and say, hey, let's go talk a little bit and walk a little bit. It's a good option. So, it doesn't have to be super excessive. This is a QR code and a link to someone who is much better qualified at this sort of thing. It's about a 20-minute video explaining all the kind of health benefits, talking about how to do it, what to do it, and kind of how to help yourself a little more. So after I make these changes, what does my day look like? Well, I'm still sleeping, so I'm still lying down. And I'm still sitting at my desk. But now what I try and do is get out and walk a little bit more, see a little more of the countryside. Maybe, I work from home, and my wife is also works from home. So we try and go out for an afternoon lunch when the kids are at school, and we will go walk around the area and see a little bit of the countryside. I do also like sports, so I do run a little, probably less than I should do. So that's also a good option. But if that's not your thing, walking is completely fine. And that's kind of it. I kind of rushed through this. I'm very sorry. But yeah, I'd be happy to talk a bit more about exercise and fitness if you'd like to. But also, one thing I find is if you've got a big problem and you're stuck on some tech stuff, walking around and getting oxygen in your brain really helps. There have been a lot of times where I will be stuck on a problem and I'll take 5 minutes to leave, walk around, and all of a sudden I get the problem solved. So it can be also a very beneficial thing, especially in the tech world, to get away from the screen. Yeah, I hope that was useful. A little more interesting than a little less interesting, sorry, than my last talk here with the Git talk. But yeah, does anyone have any questions? I think I have the questions on my phone, so I'm sorry. I can walk over to you. There's a joke there. Oh man, yeah. Okay. I'll come over to Marius. Hi Marius. How are you? Oh, there's one of my phone now. Sorry.
I didn't quite.
It's all right. I can do that.
Okay. I didn't quite understand. Do you have a medical degree?
My sister has a medical degree.
But do you?
I can find one, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
If you have enough money, I can get you a medical degree.
No, I just asked the question because, like Ben said, someone needs to ask the first question. So.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Any other questions?
See?
Ah, it works. I'll pay you later, Marius.
It's okay.
I have actually two questions. First, what do you think is the effective amount of hours that you can spend to development? I mean the effective amount, not the routine stuff and so
on. Is this recorded? On a good day, I could easily work development for 8 hours. On a bad day, I could work development for 1 hour. For me, an average day, I'd say, coding-wise and development, my brain works for about 5 to 6 hours, even if, from a contract point of view, I'm supposed to be there for longer. A lot of what I do is not just code as well. So writing issues, communicating with people, often that takes more brain power than the coding side of stuff. Yeah. So I'd probably say on average 5 or 6 hours a day would be optimum for coding for me, but I think it's different for everyone. Look, if you can get your work done in 3 hours, amazing. If you can get everything you need to do done in that day in 3 hours, then go enjoy the sunshine. Does that answer your question? Sweet.
Sure, thank you. The second question, what do you think about the 4 days labor week and if it helps to avoid burning out?
I think for different countries, it's different, right? So I think if you're in America, 4-day weeks would be amazing because, let's go. In the UK, there's a very big work ethic, very strong work ethic. But it's not actually a work ethic. It's a, hey, if you're not at the office, if I can't see you working, you're not working. So that can be quite stressful, right? And then on the weekends, you kind of get there and you're like looking for Monday, if that makes sense. Monday is always coming, right? So if you have one last day where Monday is not coming, then I think that's good. I think in Germany, there's this thing where on a Sunday nothing's open in Germany. I don't know how it is in Romania, but on a Sunday nothing is open in Germany, and the reason behind that, or one of the reasons behind that, is to encourage you to go out and see friends and family. So that Sunday is like reserved. Because if you're working during the week and then you hit the weekend and you're like, oh, I've got to do all this stuff that isn't relaxing. It's like you've got to go shopping, you've got to sort out the stuff you couldn't sort out because working hours is normally when other things happen. So if you have that day where nothing's open and you can't do anything apart from relax, then 5 days a week is fine. If you don't have that day, having that extra time or the flexibility to say, look, I need to go out and go to the post office, so it depends on every situation. For me, if someone's getting the job done, I don't care how many days they're doing it. If it's 4 days, fine. If it's 2 days and they can still get everything I expect done, even better. Hope that answers. If it doesn't, come and ask me later. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you know how many hours or maybe days or months we have on 2.3?
I tell you what,
I didn't.
the rumor is November. So, funny story. When Ben was giving his open source answer, I texted Mario's the official answer. 2 threes in November, so that's enough time to go outside and walk around. Let's say that. And prepare your brain for some new stuff. Chris, hey.
I got a question. So I've been seeing lots more stand-up desks. Do you think that people try to replace them with physical exercise, or what they help for?
I like standing desks, but I like the ones that can be both, right? So if you're just using a standing desk, you're probably doing something wrong. If you're just doing a sitting desk, you're also probably doing something wrong. So moderation and balance. If you are running all the time, you're also doing something wrong. First of all, I think you need to go get your head checked if you're running all the time. Running is, for me, I like running, but it's a time for me to shout at my own legs to tell them to shut up. So standing desk, I would encourage it, but not for your full working day, I would say. Does that answer a question? Or did I dodge a question well enough? Yes, there's one there.
Actually, just both the standing desk and
Yeah, I've seen the ones where you press the button and it's like that looks cool.
If you have kids, it's even nicer.
Having a bigger break in the middle of it, do you think it increases the number of hours you're able to run code and be efficient?
Yeah, I think it does. I think we can often have this opinion that if you sit at your desk longer, you will be more productive. And I don't think that's true. So if your brain isn't working properly, if you're not getting the answer you want, if you're stuck on something, then take an extended lunch and think about something completely unrelated. And often, this is the silly way brains work. If you're thinking about something else, at least my brain works this way. If you're thinking about something else, it will definitely drop something into your head and be like, hey, this is how you fix this issue with Composer. And I'm like, I have nothing to write it down on. So yeah, if your brain is stuck on a problem, sure. Don't use this presentation for excusing yourself out of your office talking to your boss. Make sure it's okay with your boss first. Disclaimer. There's another one back. Hey, thanks, Marius. You're good at getting questions. I've got plenty of time. We've got about 10 minutes more, right? So.
I know that almost all developers have sunglasses, but how frequently do you think that we should take our away from the screen so that we can be happy in that regard?
Yes, all the time. No, I think, making sure that you, I don't know if they do it here, but a lot of companies, if you're working with a computer all the time, they will cover like your eye care or eye tests. So I think it's really important to look after your eyes, because I definitely would struggle to do it. These are new, actually. These are a new edition. I'm still not quite using them, but I can see now, which is always good. I also find it really funny that we stare at a screen all day, and then we get home and often we'll stare at a smaller screen. and closer, and I'm like, that's gonna be bad for you, right? And it's funny looking at kids. So my 7-year-old keeps asking for a smartphone, and I'm like, you're 7, you're not getting a smartphone. But watching how they pick up on technology is quite scary. And there's a lot of technology that I can see, and I think, oh, that's going to have a negative effect, either physically or mentally, being always on or always there. So eyes are very important. Look after your eyes. I wish I was a medical professional to answer these questions. There's another one over there. There's one over there. Well,
hello, I'm wondering how much water do you drink per day, and what's your strategy for that? And did you have any other?
How much water do I drink a day?
Any recommendation would be useful.
My recommendation, I have no idea actually how much you're supposed to drink. Someone can tell you. I don't know how much you're supposed to drink, but what I do is I have, I think it's a very German thing actually, but you'll see people get like a 1 liter bottle, and because it's got discount on it, they will just keep that bottle, and then, So what I do is I have a bottle of water on my desk, it's 1 liter, and I will just drink through it and then replace it. And I probably do that about 2 or 3 times a day. I drink too much tea as well. So when I come to events like this and there's no tea, I get a really bad headache. Caffeine's bad for you. But yeah, try and keep yourself hydrated. And I'm not a medical professional, so I don't know how much you should. I drink about 3 liters, I guess. Some days I drink more, some days I drink less. Negative side effect, I pee a lot. But that breaks from the screen, you have to go away from the screen to pee. There's one at the back of my phone, I'll come back to you then.
Hi, I'm Katalin. I was wondering if you experienced with any focus techniques like the Pomodoro technique?
So I had no idea what that was until last week, when there was a talk about debugging that mentioned it. I think that's a great idea. So basically, for those that don't know, it's like a 25-minute focus technique. So the example I saw was like turning a timer, like an oven timer, to 25 minutes, and then when the 25 minutes is over, do something completely different, right? I like that idea. I like splitting things down. If you ever see my commit messages, you'll think, this guy's weird. Because I commit really, really small stuff and commit lots and frequent, and it's basically for me to the next day go back and go, the hell was I thinking? And then look through my Git commits and I can process it all again. So I have a very short attention span, so 25 minutes sounds perfect to me for tasks. If it takes longer, just turn the timer again. So yeah, Pomodoro, I think it's pronounced, it's 25 minutes of focus, then a break, and then go back and do the 25 minutes, or another 25 minutes. Hello, Pat. It's going to be a tricky question. 2.3 will be out in November.
It's actually why I come to these events, to find out what's going on with my coworkers. Occasionally meet my coworkers.
I met all my coworkers last week at Magento.
So how many times a day do you pee?
The smartphones don't track that.
So, yet. Goodness, boy, where's that code of conduct anyway? No, I just thought it might be, given the topic, what happens when you don't take good care of yourself? You might mention OSMI.
Oh yeah. I think it was in my notes, but I couldn't see it. So that's a very good question. When you don't take good care of yourself, either physically or mentally, so I had when I was younger, I think I talked about this in Romania before. I went through a lot of anxiety and kind of stress issues, and went through counseling and stuff like that. So basically, the work environment got me into this kind of stress and build-up environment. But there are lots of people that have both for the medical side, go see the medical professional, and also medical. I don't like the fact that mental and medical is separate, they're the same thing. But OSMI is open sourcing mental illness. It's a charity that specializes in sending people to technical events to talk about mental health and basically giving people resources and communication to be in an open environment to talk about mental health and whichever. So it's osbyhelp.org. Yes, next time. And there was Bartek. Hey, Bartek.
Hello. I have a question from a company point of view. Like, is there something that companies can do, like create some kind of, I don't know, rules or something that will help all of the people to feel better in work?
Magic rules to make people feel better.
We always wanted.
Here's my problem with rules. So if you want to make a change after, wait, this is Michael Jackson there, but no, I'm not going to do it. If you want to make a change often, you kind of don't have to force it, but you have to encourage it. And often you have to put rules in place. Like shouting at someone if they're eating at the lunch at the desk is can be a quite good rule. But the best way of influencing people is lead by example and do it yourself. So making sure that you yourself take a break. If you want to take a break and go out and encourage it and maybe say, hey, I'm going to go out to get some fresh air because my brain's like, if you are open and talk about it, then it makes everyone else a bit more free and open to talk about it. So I think rather than putting rules in place, I would suggest leading by example is probably a good option, but also don't eat at your desk.
So it's kind of next question related to our next topic that we are going to talk soon.
Exactly.
How to influence people that are not working in the office.
I wish I knew that answer. So the biggest thing you can do for someone is take the moment and talk to them. So whether that is via Slack, whether that is in person, whether that is a good old-fashioned phone call. I am so scared of phones now. Yeah, going out of your way and talking to people really will make people think you're nicer than you actually are. Speaking to people and being honest with people helps people react nicely to you. Let's put it that way. Any last questions? Otherwise, I need to pee. Of our tech conference today. Cool. Thank you very much. Thank you.